And welcome to another live edition of the Lucas and Lucas podcast. Mike Lucas, Lucas Franco coming at you. And Frank, the New York Jets have a brand new head coach, but that has to wait. Paul Sewell to the Cleveland Guardians. The news of the century, a 1-year, $7 million contract with a player option. This puts the Guardians' payroll over $100 million at exactly $101 million. Franco, talk about big spenders this offseason. The Guardians needed relief help, and they went out and got it. Hit a home run, or a save in this instance, by signing Paul Sewell. But let's react to that. Let's move on. Jets.
No. I was about to say, you've been waiting for that big splash all offseason from the Guardians. Were they in on Sasaki? Were they going to be in on Anthony Santander? Were they going to be in on Juan Soto? The answer to all those questions was no. But in fact, they waited for the opportunity to get Paul Sewell, and when they saw that opportunity, they pounced. You have to give them credit, and I look at the American League hierarchy, I see the Guardians, no Josh Naylor, I think that's a positive for them, and now you bring in a guy like Paul Sewell, who's been in big games, who has that experience. I think he can make a big-time difference for the Guardians, and when we look at off seasons in baseball, I think you go number 1 Dodgers, 1A Cleveland, and then Mets 3, and then Yankees probably 4.
What was the final number that Juan Soto signed for? Is it $765?
Well, if you include the final overall value of the contract was over $800 million.
Give me the exact number because I got to do some math for you right now.
So it was 15 years, 765. That can pay I believe $810 million over the full length of the deal.
Let's use 765 for the sake of this.
$805 million is if he stays the whole time.
All right, I'm going to use 765 because that's the number that's out there. Would you rather have one Juan Soto or 109.3 Paul Sewells? I don't know, Frank.
Sewald. Are you mispronouncing his name on purpose?
Yeah.
Sewald.
Give me 109.3 Paul Sewalds, and I'll go to war with 109.3 Pauls over one Juan any day of the week.
Oh, I would take Paul Sewell any day, but what a move! What a move as we've articulated.
I'm live tweeting that as we talk right now. So, Aaron Glenn, Frank, are you thrilled?
No. Any Jets fan who is thrilled is lying through their teeth. By the way, I must say I am 3 for 3 so far on nailing the head coaching predictions. I nailed Mike Vrabel to the Patriots. I nailed Ben Johnson to the Bears. I nailed Aaron Glenn to the Jets. My other 2 predictions were Brian Flores to the Raiders. That's who I'm least confident in because it doesn't seem like there's much steam there. Brady has his sights set on seemingly other people, so it could still happen. I wouldn't be shocked if it happened because Brady's obviously looking for someone he has a relationship with. They just hired a GM who he worked with in Tampa Bay, so I believe that. I guess it still could be Liam Cohen. I think Brady might step in and maybe give him an offer he can't refuse there, but Brian Flores not looking like he's going to the Raiders, so I'm probably going to miss that one. I think the Jaguars would make a horrific mistake if they got Robert Saleh because I believe in order to get the most out of Trevor Lawrence, you need an offensive guru. That's exactly what the Bears recognized with Ben Johnson. And the Jaguars, I think, need to hire Joe Brady. You saw what he's done with Joe Burrow at LSU. You see what he's doing now with Josh Allen in Buffalo. Yes, Josh Allen was good before he got there, but I believe that Joe Brady has really elevated him and pushed him over the top. So I think that Joe Brady is the guy the Jaguars have to get. We'll see if they listen to me. Robert Saleh would be a terrible move because he has no idea how to run an offense. We saw that with the Jets. It was up to whoever was the offensive coordinator. So I just don't think that's the right fit. As for Aaron Glenn, I have no idea. Former Jet player, obviously, from 94 to 01. All-pro player with the Jets. Lions defensive coordinator. But the thing with the Jets is, anything could look good on paper. People were crowning Adam Gase and Sam Darnold. I remember the infamous, obviously Colin Cowherd was like, oh my God, Darnold and Gase signed me up for an AFC title game. Things could look so great when they first happened, but then turn out to be catastrophic failures. It was funny, there was a graphic that our company made showing highest points per game from offensive coordinators in NFL history. Number 1 was Adam Gase with the Broncos, and number 2 was Ben Johnson with the Lions. But Adam Gase was a horrific failure with the Jets. So you never know. There's no way of knowing because we don't know who's going to play quarterback. We don't know how the GM's going to draft players. I'm honestly numb to any move the Jets make because I'm expecting everything they do to fail. Because why should I expect otherwise?
Yeah, trying to judge how a coordinator will be as a head coach is a completely mindless task because look at some of the best coaches in football now. Some come from that traditional offensive coordinator, play caller. This is the hot shot guy, Sean McVay. You have a special teams coordinator in John Harbaugh. Mike Tomlin was a guy who had never even been a defensive coordinator before he got the head coaching gig. It's all about being a leader of men, and sometimes you get a sense of what a assistant or a coordinator can or can't do in that role beforehand. But until they're in that situation, it's all a crapshoot. Ben Johnson the same way in Chicago. He might turn out to be a great head coach. He could turn out to be a complete bust. There's no indication beforehand. I mean, Robert Saleh was the hot defensive coordinator. He was not a good head coach. The Browns have had their.
I honestly, I don't know if I would say that Saleh was a bad. I honestly thought Saleh got a raw deal with the Jets. I thought
but I mean, it's 5 years, and I know he never had a quarterback, but
I mean, they give him literally nothing to work with. I thought he maximized what Zach Wilson could do. Like the Jets were like in playoff contention in 2020. Was it 20? I got all my years mixed up. But one year they were in it with Zach Wilson. I believe it was 2022 or 2021. Like Breece Hall was going crazy, and then Elijah Vera Tucker got hurt. They lost a couple offensive linemen. Breece Hall got hurt, and they lost steam at the end. I just obviously I think as you saw when he left, the Jets completely cratered at the end before with Ulbrich and after they fired Saleh. Like I think Saleh was like a glue that was keeping that team together. I still think Saleh's a good coach. So to say that he's a bad coach or like didn't do a good job with the Jets. Obviously, the results did not make the playoffs, but like who was making the playoffs with those rosters and those injuries and whatnot? I don't think anybody. I don't think there's any coach in the NFL who could have taken those Jets teams with Zach Wilson in the playoffs.
At the same time, he has like one of the 5 worst win percentages for a head coach ever.
Yeah, but that doesn't tell the whole story. That doesn't tell the whole story.
But every coach on bad teams deal with bad quarterbacks. They never got it right, and at the end of the day, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. The big picture is Aaron Glenn could be an absolute stud, Frank. He could be an absolute dud. Same with Ben Johnson. Same with all these guys who are entering a situation in unproven commodities. A lot of the success of these first-time head coaches have to do with the situation around them, and that is why I think it's objectively hysterical that the Jacksonville Jaguars decided to keep Trent Baalke, and then today, after getting turned down by literally everyone they wanted to bring in, fired Trent Baalke because every candidate said, I don't want that guy to be my GM. So now they are scrambling, and it could end up being Robert Saleh. It could be Joe Brady. There's a few other names out there that they can try and pluck off the remaining staffs. But don't make any mistake. Whoever the Jaguars hire, this is not plan A, B, C, or D. This will be plan E, F, G, and if they're lucky.
Not necessarily. Not if the guys that they were originally targeting, or now that they fired Baalke, are going to be like, oh, now I'm interested. Like if those guys could easily turn around and say that.
If Lee and Cohen comes back, then I will stand corrected. But Aaron Glenn is no longer on the market. Ben Johnson is obviously no longer on the market.
Yeah, but I never saw Aaron Glenn going to the Jaguars. I never saw Ben Johnson going to the Jaguars. According to reports, Ben Johnson wanted that job. No, he didn't. He always was going into the Bears. It was the Bears the whole time. He looked at the market. He saw that Caleb Williams was the best quarterback or the most promising young quarterback that he could work with, and that's where he wanted to go. The Bears were interested as well. This is why I predicted it. I predicted this a month ago. Like, the writing was on the wall. Like, you got to have that foresight like I have. Obviously, you don't have it, but
predicted the Ravens to win last week.
All right, I said whichever team makes more mistakes would lose the game.
Well, no
the Ravens.
Come on.
And the Bills didn't make a single mistake the entire game. Mark Andrews dropped. He fumbled, which changed the game, and then he dropped a 2-point conversion. Like, if one of those 2 plays goes the other way, Ravens probably win the game.
Frank, that's like saying I'm going to predict the team.
No, it's not. It's not saying it's not going out on a limb at all. It's honestly it's common sense. If one of those 2 plays,
you can't try to claim some genius foresight for using common sense. Come on.
I was just either way.
You're wrong.
Whatever.
Just take the L. It's okay. Your name is Lucas Frankel. It starts with an L for a reason.
The one thing about the Jets though that I don't love about the situation is if you're going to hire the coach before the GM, then the coach has to pick the GM. It can't be this like independent hire where the GM is coming in and they have to build a relationship that there wasn't that sort of from scratch. There's got to be some sort of rapport there. This feels like it happens way too often with the Jets. I just don't understand why they couldn't hire GM first, unless Aaron Glenn has his guy picked out or he has to give the Jets like a list of like 2 guys he would work with. But I'm really hoping that there's some sort of camaraderie here because we can't have a situation like we had with Rex Ryan years ago where the Jets, I believe, fired Tannenbaum, brought in a new GM, but the new GM had to work with Rex Ryan, and that ended up failing. So like, it's just crazy. Like after how many times we have to see it with the Jets where it's the same thing over and over again, which is why in the end of the day, I expect Aaron Glenn to be a total failure with the Jets. I'd be shocked if he's a success.
I like Aaron Glenn. I think we've seen a lot of success with these former players kind of coming in and being able to talk to this new generation. I do think that matters in terms of how successful a head coach will be, but the proof is in the pudding, Frank. If they don't have a quarterback, it doesn't matter who Aaron Glenn and how good of a coach he is. They have to figure out the quarterback situation. If they don't, it'll probably be a short tenure for Aaron Glenn. If they do, who knows? He could be the coach of the Jets for the next decade and a half.
And I'm very curious to see, because obviously a big talk of these meetings that the Jets had with coaches and GMs was, what would you do a quarterback? Is Aaron Rodgers in your plans? I'm very curious to see when that comes out, if Rodgers is coming back or if he has that, because him and Aaron Glenn darn seeing eye to eye on things that he's going to retire or refuse to play for the Jets. So that's the next wrinkle I'm looking for here. Not that it like really matters at the end of the day, like if the Jets win or losing. I'm just curious to see because we'll know based on the way Rodgers reacts. By the way, I meant to check to see if he must have not tweeted anything, because
it would have blown up if he tweeted. I haven't seen anything.
That would have gone everywhere. He hasn't tweeted. He retweeted something on the. Oh, he hasn't tweeted in a month, so he's been off social media. So I'm curious. We'll see how they handle the Aaron Rodgers situation. If this was a referendum or what's it called? Essentially, like you can take the job, but you have to keep Aaron Rodgers, or we're looking for a coach and GM who don't want Rodgers back. That's the whole domino situation. We'll see how it plays out. Let's move on to Championship Sunday. We'll go game by game here. We'll start with the NFC, and Jayden Daniels is insane, absolutely insane. He's the only quarterback this postseason to win on the road. He has not turned the ball over, and he has no fear. That's the thing that stands out to me. He has absolutely no fear. He does not get rattled. The guy is as cool as the other side of the pillow, and I think the biggest edge for the Commanders in this game against the Eagles is Jayden Daniels. I feel like the Eagles are better than Washington basically every other category, but when it comes down to it, like if I need one play, who do I trust more, Jayden Daniels or Jalen Hurts? I'm riding with Jayden Daniels the whole way. I just don't know if he's going to be able to overcome everything else, but I'm rooting for Washington. I think Washington making the Super Bowl would be an unbelievable story, and I know the Giants fans want that too, because God forbid Saquon Barkley plays in the Super Bowl with a different team.
I have no issue with the Saquon stuff. It was the right decision.
None. Does not bother you at all.
No, it was the right decision to let him go. It was.
Right, but he not only did he leave, he signed with the Giants' biggest rival. That doesn't bother you at all?
No.
No, not the slightest.
He's from South.
Well, I guess you're a Browns fan now, so what difference does it make? You don't have to hear about it.
But like, listen, if I got mad at a player for going to the team that offered him more money and in a better position, and I didn't want the Giants to re-sign him in the first place, like I'm not gonna get mad at where it went. Like, it stinks to see that he's having success for the other franchise, but I'm not. I love Saquon. Like, I got a signed Saquon helmet over there. Like, I'm not gonna hate the guy because he went to Philly. Like, it is what it is. But to your Jayden Daniels point, Frank, I do not trust Jalen Hurts pre-injury. I am very concerned about Jalen Hurts post-injury. What Jayden Daniels has done in Washington this season is nothing short of spectacular. And in the biggest moments, when the lights are the brightest, on the biggest of stages, he seems to be at his absolute best. Philly, the one thing they do well is they can get pressure with 4, and against the blitz, Jayden Daniels is at his absolute best. If they're going to contain this Washington offense, it's going to be imperative that Jalen Carter and the edge rushers can wreak havoc and keep Daniels in the pocket and make him beat 7 guys in coverage as a pocket passer, which he has done. And if you go back to the last game that Philly played against Washington when Daniels led that fourth quarter comeback, that game-winning touchdown, which should never have happened. If Devontae Smith catches an easy pass, the game's over. If he drops it, they get an opportunity. And Daniels threw an absolute dime, thread the needle against cover 2. It was even a little bit of an inverted cover 2. Daniels didn't care, read it right off the line, and fired an absolute freaking dart. Frank, this kid's special. And in a game that comes down to quarterbacks more often than not, especially on this kind of stage, I'm not going to tell you who I'm picking yet, but I have a hard time going against Jayden Daniels.
Would you say it's too early to say the Bears messed up taking Caleb Williams over Jayden Daniels?
1,000%. Way too early.
Way too early.
One season, listen, C.J. Stroud looked like the surefire 100%, no doubter, better than Bryce Young this year at the end of the season, I would still take C.J. Stroud, but it's not as clear.
I'm taking Bryce Young.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So one season is way too early to make any sort of declarations on that.
If Jayden Daniels wins the Super Bowl this year, will that be a point where you say they made a mistake?
Yeah, and then I'd probably go back on it in 5 years when Caleb Williams is better. But yeah, I mean, like, if he wins the Super Bowl, then yes, it was the wrong decision. End of story. Yes.
I would love to see it.
1 year is too quick to make a judgment on any of these rookie quarterbacks, good or bad.
All right. So we don't have to. You don't have to. By the way, I found this interesting. Well, it wasn't in the rundown, but since the Titans GM made the comments about taking the most talented player with the number 1 overall pick, the odds shifted. Cam Ward was minus 170 to be the first overall pick, and he is now plus 105. Travis Hunter is second. So the odds makers are thinking that Tennessee might take Travis Hunter with the first overall pick, which I believe would be the right choice. Because I think they could get.
You tell me Cam Ward is plus money to go number 1 right now?
He is now plus money to be number 1 overall pick. He was minus 170 until the Titans GM made the pick about drafting the best player available with the number 1 overall pick. Which, because I don't believe Shador Sanders. I don't believe either quarterback is a franchise.
My show tomorrow.
I don't believe either quarterback. I mean, the odds could shift further ahead of your show. We gotta have the most, best show possible. But I just don't think either guy is a guy that can come in and change the trajectory of a franchise. Could be totally wrong here. But if you're asking me who the best player in the draft, I think it's Travis Hunter. I think he is a future Hall of Famer in every conceivable way. And if I'm Tennessee, I draft Travis Hunter number 1 overall. But then you're also like, well, the only issue is I feel like you can get a team to trade with you to get a haul, and that's the only area. Huh?
The Giants.
If you get the Giants to trade up, the Giants were at 4, 3,
3,
and the Browns are second. So if the Giants trade up to 1, which I honestly, in a perfect world, as someone who does not like the Giants, I think the Giants drafting a quarterback is the best case scenario from my vantage point, because I don't think either guy's going to be that special in the NFL, and that way I don't have to worry about Travis Hunter being a Giant. And then the Browns take either Cam Ward or Shador, whoever's not there, and then someone at 3, Tennessee will take Travis Hunter and then sign a quarterback, and the Giants will probably have to be forced to sign or draft an offensive lineman, or I don't know what the Giants would do in that situation. But a lot of dominoes. Sorry, I meant the Patriots.
What sportsbook is that on?
FanDuel Sportsbook.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to put a bet on that right now because there's a 0.0% chance Travis Hunter's the number 1 overall pick. It is going to be a quarterback. The Browns are going to take a quarterback number 2. And even though I'll agree with you, Frank, if I was doing a big board of my best players, Cam Ward and Shador Sanders neither's in the top 5, and only one's in the top 10, and the other one's like between 12 and 15. Quarterbacks are going 1 and 2. The Browns cannot afford to pass on a quarterback. The Titans cannot afford to pass on a quarterback because the reality of the situation is, Frank, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a damn chance. And when you're drafting this high and don't have to mortgage your future in terms of assets to get into a position to take the quarterback of your choice, you have to do it. It would be an organizational failure on both Tennessee and Cleveland's part to pass up on a quarterback here.
Organizational failure.
We did this. Let me ask you this question, Frank. We did this exercise on the show today. Take Jayden Daniels off the Commanders and put him on the Browns. And put Myles Garrett off the Browns and on the Commanders and Marcus Mariota as their starting quarterback. Who wins more games this year?
The Browns. Yeah, but I felt like Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels were astronomically better than the 2 guys in this draft. Astronomically better. Night and day, not even close. I agree.
But you don't know. Brock Purdy,
come on, Brock! I think Brock Purdy is one of the most overrated quarterbacks. I think.
I'm just saying, if you have a quarterback that is functionally good enough, you have a chance. And finding that quarterback is by far the hardest part of the entire equation. And when you have a chance to take your choice, and for Cleveland it'll be everyone besides the guy who Tennessee takes, and for Tennessee, it is your choice. They both have offensive-minded head coaches, mind you. Brian Callahan was the OC for Joe Burrow, and Stefanski's on the hot seat. The Browns cannot afford legitimately cannot afford another bad season unless it's a bad season, but the rookie quarterback showed promise. I know it's only Brian Callahan's second season, but they tried the Will Levis, Mason Rudolph situation. That did not work. The list of free agent quarterbacks is not very strong, Frank. You got to take I understand what the GM's saying, but I'm going to make a ton of money when Cam Ward's the number one pick.
All right, so bet it right now.
I
think it could be Shador. I don't think Cam's an absolute shoe-in lock, but we'll see. So in the NFC title game, at last check on FanDuel Sportsbook, the Eagles are favored by 6.5. The over/under is 47.5. The weather in Philly is going to be 40 degrees and looks like cloudy. No precipitation. Who is going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl?
In the Super Bowl, as I make this bet, it is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to take Jayden Daniels. I take the points. I like Washington the points, but as far as a winner goes, I like the Eagles. I don't feel confident in this pick, Frank. I don't love it at all. I don't feel good about it, but I am going to take the Eagles. I think losing Sam Cosmi, their best offensive lineman, having to deal with Jalen Carter without Cosmi is going to be a nightmare. And as good as Jayden Daniels is, Frank, as good as he is, his 2 playoff wins have come in sunny Tampa and inside a dome. I know 40 degrees is not terrible weather, but that Philadelphia crowd's a menace. They've already lost to Jayden Daniels after being up big in that game and having Jalen Hurts get knocked out in the first quarter. I don't see it happening again despite the injury. Give me Philly in a close one, but I don't feel great about it.
I'm going to root hard for the Commanders in this game, hard, because I just love the Jayden Daniels story. I know way too many Eagles fans, and they're all obnoxious. So I love Washington. Do I think they're going to win? I think the Eagles probably win by a field goal, unfortunately. But you never know. Like I said, Jayden Daniels, I think, is the best player in this game, or most impactful, I should say. Saquon might be the most talented, but I really hope Washington finds a way to do it, because that would just be a really, really fascinating story. So in the AFC, it's Mahomes, Allen, I believe, for the 4th time in the playoffs. Mahomes is 3-0 against him. This feels like Brady Manning through like 05, when Brady seemingly won every matchup, over like a 4 or 5 year stretch. And now Allen's got to beat him at least. I guess he beats him in the regular season. He's beaten him in the regular season a couple times, but he just hasn't been able to get over the hump. And it feels like as more of these matchups keep happening, it feels like the tide's going to turn at some point. And I'm worried for the Chiefs' vantage point. It might be this year, and that scares me if I'm a Chiefs fan. Because if the Chiefs win this one, it almost feels like how much more enduring and suffering can this Bills franchise go through after all the years with Jim Kelly coming up just short? Unless the Bills are just a cursed franchise. Because if Allen can't do it, then let's just call it what it is. The Bills are a cursed franchise. Because Buffalo is just as good, if not better, than Kansas City in all aspects. And then the one area that Kansas City obviously has over them is quarterback. So I feel like it has to happen at some point, but I guess you thought the same thing when the Bills were in those 4 straight Super Bowls. They got to win once and never did it. So maybe just a situation where the Bills will just never get over that hump, and it is what it is.
I want to pick the Bills, Frank. I do. They're the better team. Kansas City just keeps finding ways to win. It doesn't make sense. It's ugly. Their defense is good. I know playing in Arrowhead's always tough. I want to pick the Bills. They should win. I just can't. I can't get myself to pick against Mahomes here. I can't. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I hate this pick. I hate doing it. I'm gonna bet on Buffalo. I'm gonna root for Buffalo. But I think if I was picking who's gonna win the game, I'm not picking against Mahomes in an AFC Championship game at Arrowhead. I can't. And I hope I'm wrong. Like I would be thrilled to be wrong on this one, Frank. But until someone knocks him off that's not named Tom Brady, like I'm not betting it. I'm not putting my name on it.
I think this game's going to come down to it's kind of like the Baltimore game. It's going to come down to like a mistake from somebody, whether it's one of the quarterbacks, whether it's DeAndre Hopkins fumbling, whether it's Travis Kelce dropping a pass, whether it's Tyler Bass missing a field goal. There's going to be I don't trust either. I don't believe either quarterback's going to make a mistake in this game. They're going to go punch for punch. It's going to be an epic showdown. And then it's going to come down to one play. It's going to be like the Mark Andrews play where he dropped the 2. It's going to come down to one play, and everyone's going to blow that play up as the play that decided it, and whichever side commits that mistake is going to lose the game. That's what it's going to come down to. So we'll see who that player is. I feel bad for whoever that player is ahead of time because the vitriol that was thrown at Mark Andrews was rough to see.
Here's what scares me, Frank. As good as Buffalo's defense has been at times this season, when Baltimore needed to put together 2 drives late, they did. And they moved the ball with pretty much ease throughout frigid cold, crazy temperatures, and a little bit of snow. And the only thing that stopped them from tying the game was Mark Andrews dropping a pass. And it wasn't a great throw by Lamar. It could have been a better throw. Andrews still has to catch it, don't get me wrong. But they were able to move the ball against that defense when it mattered most with ease. And I could see this game being 13-10 with 2 minutes left, and Mahomes gets the ball. And after doing absolutely nothing on offense the entire game, he hits Kelsey on a 3rd and 6 to extend the drive, and they get I see this. I like the under in this game. I don't even know what the under is. I like the under.
Both games are at 47.5.
I like the under in this one a lot. But we've also seen these 2 teams when I like the under go on offensive shootouts and kind of be a quarterback duel. So I'm excited. This is going to be a hell of a matchup, Frank. I'm just not picking against Mahomes. And if you want to call me a chicken for that, I'm okay with it. I can't even pretend to deny it.
I have the Chiefs winning 31-28 on a last-second field goal. If when they have a 3rd and 6 and they have to get that first down, they're going to come up with some gadget play to Travis Kelsey, and they're going to get it. And then, because when in doubt, who do I trust more to make the play? Mahomes.
Yeah,
to me, he's the second greatest quarterback of all time, on track to be the greatest quarterback of all time. And if there's any quarterback set up for a 3-peat, it's him. But I don't feel confident honestly in either game. I think deep down I know the Eagles are going to win, even though as much as I don't want them to win. In the AFC, I feel like Allen's too good to keep losing to Mahomes every time. He's too good of a player. So
and the Bills are too good to not get that moment. But you're like me. I just can't pick against him. I hope I'm wrong, Frank. I hope we come back next week or whenever we preview the Super Bowl and say next week. I will be thrilled to be wrong in that situation. I'm not picking against Mahomes.
So one last thing before we go. So I don't really care about Jimmy Butler getting suspended. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about Jimmy Butler. We get it. He doesn't want to be in Miami. We get it. All right, enough. Next story. So Roki Sasaki, by the way, brilliant job by his team to give this illusion that he was going to go to the Padres, that he was actually seriously considering any other team, when I heard from a source who knows and has worked with Japan baseball for many, many years that this was a done deal in October. Sasaki was going to the Dodgers, and it was done. I got fooled because I think I said last week that I thought he would go to the Padres. I never thought it would be the Yankees or the Blue Jays. Hilarious that the Blue Jays got looped in as one of the 2 finalists. That was never happening. I feel like the Japan people are just like, what's a random team we could just throw in there to give them false hope? The Blue Jays. But it was always the Dodgers. Anyone who thought otherwise got fooled by the system. This was a predetermined outcome. No other team had a chance. And I'm scared for baseball because there is, without a shadow of a doubt, a pipeline from Japan to the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, they want one of those Japanese stars. They're going to get them because Otani's there, Yamamoto's there, now Sasaki is there. They're basically building the Team Japan from the World Baseball Classic of the best players in the world. And it's ridiculous. It's almost honestly, if this is the way it's going to be, I don't want Japan players coming to America. I don't. If they're all just going to go to the Dodgers, and who wants that? Who is that fun for? Nobody. Not me. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's an imperfect science. I understand why the West Coast is an advantage, and he wanted to play with Shohei and his teammates from Team Japan, and there's a more comfortability making the transition. But there should be some way to defer not every player going to that one place. And I don't think the Dodgers are ruining baseball because any other team would take this situation.
I don't think they're ruining baseball in the sense of listen, they can sign whoever they want. Whatever. It is what it is. Other owners don't want to spend. I know I cut you off, but I do want to make this point.
Good.
Other owners do want to spend, or don't want to spend, and they don't want to have to pay the luxury tax. I get it. It's the fixed, predetermined outcomes where no other team has a realistic chance at signing someone that really bothers me, because no other team had a realistic chance at signing Sasaki. It was always the Dodgers, and I think when you come to that, that's where you lose me, because no other as you said, the Guardians could have offered a lot more money. A bunch of teams could have offered more money. But it didn't matter to Sasaki. What mattered was going to the Dodgers. It's the only thing that was on his
mind.
Well,
here's the fix then, because the Guardians could have offered more money, but it was $2 million more because it's the international pool money, and they had the top notch. If you really want to make it so you have a chance at these guys, you have to shift the range of the international pool money. So instead of having $2 million more to spend, Frank, because in the big picture that's nothing, give the tier 1 teams like $25 million to spend. The tier 2 teams, $12 million to spend, and the tier 3 teams, $6 million. So it's like a legitimate difference in the amount of money you can give. I'm not saying Sasaki would have came to Cleveland or Colorado or Cincinnati, who also had that top tier of international money to spend, if they could offer 25 and the Dodgers could have only offered 6. But it certainly gives you a better chance. 8 to 6 is essentially no drop-off, Frank. 25 to 6, now we're talking.
Yeah, I almost wish it was like a bidding system, just like whoever offers, like it was with Daisuke Matsuzaka and Masahiro Tanaka and Hideki Matsui. Like, highest bid, who wants them? Yeah. That's the way it should be. But I do, the deferred money for the Dodgers does bother me.
That is an issue. I actually agree with that part.
Because like they're at like $1.5 billion in deferred money, which is almost unheard of in like the history of sports. But that's the status of the Dodgers. But it is what it is. I'm just glad that the Yankees, if the Yankees are going to deal with it, they won't have to deal with it until the World Series if they get there. And this is Juan Soto's problem. Honestly, good luck to Juan Soto getting past the Dodgers. Like, you went to the National League, you want to be in that, with your boy Steve Cohen, and now good luck being that Dodgers team who has like the best rotation, best lineup, best bullpen in baseball. They have like 3 electric guys closing games that are going to be in their bullpen.
Let me ask this, Frank. Should the Dodgers go to a 7-man rotation?
I mean, I'm always in favor of having like 6-man rotations, but the issue is you only can have 26 guys on a roster, so like you still need guys in the bullpen if the guys are ineffective. So
well, Shohei'd be one of them, so he doesn't really count. But their start. I mean, look at their Glasnow's like their 4th starter.
Yamamoto, Ohtani, Snell, Glasnow,
Sasaki.
Roki Sasaki. They have, I believe they still have Dustin May. They're gonna probably re-sign Clayton Kershaw. Like, it's just
they have enough to literally go like 7-8 deep and just it's crazy.
Well, that's all I got for this week. We'll see what happens at Championship Sunday. I'm be rooting for the Commanders and the Chiefs, and we'll see how it goes.
For Lucas Franco, I'm Mike Lucas. We'll see you next time. Peace.